Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
This week, we're covering Chapter 77, One Step of a Dream.
And what a step it is. We finally open the door on Nami's past and meet the woman who raised her, Bell-mère. But just as we get this beautiful, complicated picture of their family, the whole world comes crashing down. A shadow falls over Cocoyasi Village, and it has a long, saw-toothed nose.
The arrival of Arlong. It's one of those moments where you can feel the air in the story change permanently. The storybook quality of the East Blue begins to erode and something much darker takes its place.
It really is. And look, if this show helps you connect with the story on a deeper level, maybe find a crewmate of your own and send an episode their way. It's how we find more people to share these moments with. We're all sailing this sea together.
Let's get into it. The chapter drops us right into a flashback, 8 years ago. The story doesn't ease us in. The first panel is simply titled 8 years ago, and we're there.
Right. So we're seeing a 10-year-old Nami living on this quiet little island with her older sister, Nojiko, and their adoptive mom, Bell-mère. They're running a tangerine farm. It's humble, it's peaceful, but you can already tell things are tight. The way their home is drawn does such a good job of showing this. Their house isn't run down, but it's simple. Everything feels a little worn, a little secondhand. It's a life built on love, not money.
And that distinction is the entire point of the chapter. The first thing we see Nami do is get caught stealing a book on navigation by the town's local officer, Genzo.
And her reason is just pure Nami, even back then, 100%. She doesn't have the money for it, but she needs it. She has a dream to draw a map of the entire world, and this book is one step on that path. It's not for greed, it's for ambition. Think about the other dreams we've seen so far. Luffy wants to be the king. Zoro wants to be the best. Those are dreams of status, of becoming something. Nami's dream is about knowledge. It's about charting the unknown, understanding the world in its entirety. For a kid on a tiny island, that is a super audacious dream.
It's an intellectual pursuit, born of curiosity. She doesn't want to conquer the world, she wants to comprehend it. And the fact that she's willing to break the rules, to steal, not for personal gain, but for the advancement of that dream, tells you everything about her character. The goal is so important that the means are, to her, justified.
We've seen that exact same pragmatism from her as a Straw Hat. Absolutely. And Genzo, man, I love Genzo. He comes in hot, scolding her, but you can see he's not really that mad. He's got this pinwheel stuck in his hat, which immediately tells you he's not as serious as he pretends to be.
Genzo has that classic tough but fair small-town cop energy. He scolds her, but you can see he gets it. He understands the context of who Nami is, who her family is, and what drives her. He ends up just buying the book for her himself, grumbling the whole time about how he can't believe he's doing it.
Which is such a great little moment. It shows you the kind of place Cocoyasi is. It's a community. People look out for each other. It's not like Syrup Village, where the village was mostly oblivious to Usopp's struggles, or Shell's Town, which was run by a tyrant. Cocoyasi feels like a real, functioning town, where everyone knows everyone's business, for better or worse. Genzo doesn't just see a little thief. He sees Bell-mère's kid with a huge dream that's bigger than their island.
He sees the potential. He might not fully understand the scale of her ambition, but he recognizes the passion. Buying her the book is an investment in her future, and by extension, the future of their community. He is, in his own way, a guardian of the village's dreams.
Ah, that's a perfect way to put it. So he marches her home, book in hand, ready to give Bell-mère a piece of his mind.
He brings her home to Bell-mère, and he's still in lecture mode, telling her she needs to teach Nami some respect, that thievery can't be tolerated. He's putting on his official concerned officer hat.
And her reaction is perfect. She's just lounging on the roof, smoking a cigarette, looking like the coolest mom in the entire East Blue. She doesn't get defensive, she doesn't get mad. She just stands up for her girl, completely unfazed. She listens to Genzo's whole speech, takes a drag from her cigarette, and just says something like, "Oh, is that right?" She has this swagger that is just off the charts. Then she tells Genzo she'll pay him back with love when she can, and basically shuts the door in his face. She is immediately so cool. You just get this vibe of a tough, loving, no-nonsense mom.
That line, "I'll pay you back with love," is so telling. In a chapter that is about to become obsessed with money, Bell-mère establishes her own currency. It's affection, it's gratitude, it's connection. She's essentially telling Genzo and the world that what she has to offer is more valuable than Barry. And Genzo's flustered reaction shows he knows it's true. They have a history, a shorthand. He came there to lecture her, but he knew on some level this is exactly how she would react.
He just wanted to make sure the kid was all right, and Bell-mère knows that too. It's their little dance. But man, the moment that door closes, the whole vibe shifts.
As soon as the door is shut, though, the tone changes. The performance for Genzo is over. She turns to Nami, and her expression is no longer defiant and cool. It's soft and a little hurt. She tells Nami, "You should have just asked. I would have bought it for you."
That hits hard, because it shows that even though they don't have much, even though every berry counts, Bell-mère would move heaven and earth for her kids' dreams. She's not mad that Nami wanted the book. She's heard that Nami didn't think she could come to her for it, that Nami felt she had to resort to stealing because she saw their poverty as a barrier that even her mom couldn't overcome.
It's a powerful lesson. Our poverty doesn't define our love. Don't let a lack of money make you think I wouldn't support you. Bell-mère is trying to teach her that their family bond is stronger than their financial circumstances. It's a lesson that Nami, at this age, can't fully grasp yet, and that failure to understand is what will precipitate the tragedy.
Exactly. But in that moment, she gets it enough. She feels the love, and she takes that book and immediately gets to work. There's this awesome little montage of her just poring over it day and night, charts and tools everywhere. And then she does it. She draws her first real map, a map of their own island, and she is so proud of it, man. She runs in, shows it to Bell-mère, and the look on Bell-mère's face, it's pure, uncut pride.
It's a beautiful panel. You see the incredible detail Nami put into it. This doesn't look like a child's drawing. It seems like a legitimate, professional-looking piece of cartography. It's the first tangible proof of her genius. Bell-mère is proud of her. Nojiko is proud of her. It's this perfect little family moment. They hang it on the wall, and Bell-mère says it's Nami's first step toward her dream.
It's the high point, the happiest moment in the whole chapter. Everyone is smiling. Everyone is supportive. Their little house on the tangerine farm feels like the safest, warmest place in the world. It's the before picture, the memory you'd cling to when everything goes wrong.
A moment that is about to be shattered. The scene transitions to that night. The mood is quiet, domestic.
Yeah, this is where it starts to turn. Later that night, Bell-mère is doing some mending, sewing up clothes, which again just reinforces their financial situation. She's not buying new stuff. She's making the old stuff last. And she gives Nami a dress. But it's an old dress of Nojiko's, a hand-me-down.
The dress itself is the catalyst. For a 10-year-old, the idea of having something that is uniquely yours is incredibly important. A hand-me-down is a physical symbol of being second, of not being able to afford new things. And Nami just snaps, like kids do. All the little frustrations of being poor, of not having nice things, of maybe being teased by other kids, it all boils over in this one moment.
She complains about the dress, saying she wants her own new clothes, not just Nojiko's leftovers. Nojiko fires back, saying Nami gets all the attention anyway. It's a totally normal sibling squabble that just escalates way too fast. And then Nami says it, the thing you can't take back. She yells that they're not even a real family anyway, not by blood. And then she says she wishes she'd been adopted by a rich family.
Ooh, it's brutal. It's a child's logic, of course. She doesn't comprehend the full weight of her words. To her, real family means blood relation, and good family means wealth. She takes the two things Bell-mère has given her, a home and a family identity, and throws them back in her face as insufficient.
It is, because you know she doesn't mean it, not really, but it's the most hurtful thing she could possibly say in that moment. It's a surgical strike right at Bell-mère's biggest insecurity. It's designed to cut as deep as possible. She's a kid who doesn't know how to handle her frustration, so she reaches for the sharpest weapon she has.
And it does. Bell-mère slaps her. It's not a casual thing. It's sharp and sudden. It's a moment of shock for everyone, including Bell-mère herself. You see the immediate regret and pain on her face. It was an involuntary reaction to an unbearable emotional wound. And then she tells Nami, fine, if you want that life so badly, then leave.
That's almost worse than the slap, isn't it? The slap is a moment of losing control. Telling your kid to leave, that's a conscious choice of words. It's pushing her away. So Nami runs off, right to the one other adult who's shown her kindness today, Genzo. She ends up at his house, crying her eyes out, and he sits her down to tell her a story. The real story of where she and Nojiko came from.
But let's stay with Bell-mère for a moment. Think about what this means from her perspective. Nami just hit her one and only insecurity. She has built this entire life from nothing for these two girls. She gave up whatever life she had before. She works the tangerine farm, she patches their clothes, she endures the poverty all to give them a home. And Nami just threw it in her face. The slap is a reaction of pure, unfiltered hurt. It's the sound of her world cracking.
You're right, it's the sound of a heart breaking. And while Nami's at Genzo's feeling sorry for herself, we find out just how much Bell-mère sacrificed. Genzo sits her down, gives her some tea, and says, let me tell you about that woman.
And this is where the story pulls the rug out from under us. We thought we knew Bell-mère, the cool, chain-smoking tangerine farmer, but we learned she was a Marine.
A former Marine, which is just, whoa, that adds a whole new layer to her. Her toughness, the swagger, the way she stood up to Genzo, it all clicks into place. She wasn't just some farmer. She was a fighter, a soldier for the world government. It completely recontextualizes her.
It raises so many questions. Why did she leave the Marines? What was her rank? Where did she serve? Genzo doesn't give us all the details, just the one story that matters. He explains that she was in a huge battle on some unnamed island.
We see a scene of a town utterly destroyed, burning. It looks like a war zone. She's gotten badly wounded and was basically crawling away from the battlefield, ready to die.
The art is so stark. It's just black and white, smoke and rubble. Bell-mère is covered in blood, her uniform is shredded, and she's just given up. She's talking to herself, saying goodbye to her hometown, just accepting that this is the end.
And that's when she finds them. 2 little kids in the ruins. A toddler, Nojiko, holding a literal baby, Nami. Their parents are gone. The whole world around them is fire and death.
Nojiko is just a little girl herself, but she's standing guard over this infant. It's an impossible resilience. And Bell-mère, a woman who had just accepted her own death, sees them. She sees these 2 orphans who have no one.
And something just switches inside her. She picks them up. This dying soldier with no strength left picks up both of them. And even though she's on the verge of collapsing, she somehow makes it back to safety where she finds people from her village.
Genzo says she was at her absolute limit. She's pale, she's bleeding out, she can barely stand.
And with what she thinks is her last breath, she begs them, save these children, not save me, save them. Her final act, she believes, will be to get these 2 girls to safety. It's the ultimate act of a soldier and a protector, but it's the next part that gets me. As she's looking down at baby Nami, this infant who has no idea what's happening, Nami just smiles at her.
Bro, that panel, that one panel is everything. In the middle of all this death, destruction, and despair, this tiny baby who has lost everything just looks up at the stranger holding her and gives this perfect, innocent, happy smile.
A pure, innocent smile in the middle of all that horror. It's the ultimate symbol of life persisting. It's the dawn after the darkest night. And Genzo says that smile is what saved Bell-mère. It cut through her despair and gave her the will to live. It was a reason to keep going.
It's not that she just adopted them. They saved each other. That's not a found family. That's a forged family. Forged in the fires of a war zone. Their bond isn't just love and choice. It's a shared miracle. Bell-mère was ready to die, and these 2 little girls gave her a new life, and she, in turn, gave them one.
It completely reframes everything. Their bond isn't just love, it's survival. She literally walked out of hell carrying her future in her arms. The fight they just had over a hand-me-down dress seems so laughably small in comparison. Nami's words about not being a real family by blood are rendered meaningless. Their family is more real than most because it was born from a conscious life-altering choice made at the brink of death.
When Nami hears this, it all clicks for her. You see it on her face. The shame, the regret, the dawning understanding, the fight, the dress, none of it matters. She understands that what they have is so much stronger than blood. She just wants to go home. She bolts out of Genzo's house without a word because there's nothing to say. She just needs to get back to her mom and apologize.
Nojiko finds her, having been out looking for her, and they start heading back together. It seems like Nojiko wants to smooth things over, playing the part of the responsible older sister. You're expecting this emotional reunion. You're waiting for the hug, the apology, the I love you. The narrative is building toward a cathartic resolution.
And the story just denies us that. It builds up all this emotional momentum, this beautiful, heartbreaking story of a mother's love and a daughter's realization, and then it smashes it. It winds up the pitch, makes you think you're getting the perfect feel-good ending to this family drama, and then throws a razor-sharp fastball right at your head.
As the pirates are landing, one of the villagers mentions a rumor they'd heard was true, that the Fishman pirates split up on the Grand Line, and a faction of them came to the East Blue.
Right, that's huge. This isn't some random East Blue villain like Krieg or Kuro, who were big fish in a small pond. Arlong is a Grand Line level threat who has come here for a reason. He's not just raiding them for treasure, he's here to conquer.
This retroactively makes Krieg's Grand Line is Hell speech feel so much more real. We're about to see what a real monster from that sea can do to a peaceful place like this.
It explains the scale of the threat. This isn't a fight the village can win. They're not dealing with a normal pirate. They're dealing with a force of nature, driven by a supremacist ideology. The term inferior human insects is not just trash talk. It's a window into his entire worldview. He doesn't see them as people. He sees them as resources to be exploited or pests to be exterminated.
Bro, it's just perfect storytelling. The story builds this idyllic world, this bubble of familial love and community, makes you fall in love with this family, shows you their tiny, relatable problems, and then introduces the very thing that is designed to tear it all apart. It's setting the stage for a tragedy, and you can't look away. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
It completely reframes everything. Their bond isn't just love, it's survival. She literally walked out of hell carrying her future in her arms. The fight they just had over a hand-me-down dress seems so laughably small in comparison. Nami's words about not being a real family by blood are rendered meaningless. Their family is more real than most because it was born from a conscious, life-altering choice made at the brink of death.
When Nami hears this, it all clicks for her. You see it on her face. The shame, the regret, the dawning understanding. The fight, the dress, none of it matters. She understands that what they have is so much stronger than blood. She just wants to go home. She bolts out of Genzo's house without a word because there's nothing to say. She just needs to get back to her mom and apologize.
Nojiko finds her, having been out looking for her, and they start heading back together. It seems like Nojiko wants to smooth things over, playing the part of the responsible older sister. You're expecting this emotional reunion. You're waiting for the hug, the apology, the I love you. The narrative is building toward a cathartic resolution.
And the story just denies us that. It builds up all this emotional momentum, this beautiful, heartbreaking story of a mother's love and a daughter's realization, and then it smashes it. It winds up the pitch, makes you think you're getting the perfect feel-good ending to this family drama, and then throws a razor-sharp fastball right at your head.
As the pirates are landing, one of the villagers mentions a rumor they'd heard was true, that the Fishman pirates split up on the Grand Line, and a faction of them came to the East Blue.
Right. That's huge. This isn't some random East Blue villain like Krieg or Kuro, who were big fish in a small pond. Arlong is a Grand Line level threat who has come here for a reason. He's not just raiding them for treasure. He's here to conquer. This retroactively makes Krieg's Grand Line is Hell speech feel so much more real. We're about to see what a real monster from that sea can do to a peaceful place like this.
It explains the scale of the threat. This isn't a fight the village can win. They're not dealing with a normal pirate. They are dealing with a force of nature driven by a supremacist ideology. The term inferior human insects is not just trash talk. It's a window into his entire worldview. He doesn't see them as people. He sees them as resources to be exploited or pests to be exterminated.
Bro, it's just perfect storytelling. The story builds this idyllic world, this bubble of familial love and community, makes you fall in love with this family, shows you their tiny, relatable problems, and then introduces the very thing that is designed to tear it all apart. It's setting the stage for a tragedy, and you can't look away. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
It completely reframes everything. Their bond isn't just love, it's survival. She literally walked out of hell carrying her future in her arms. The fight they just had over a hand-me-down dress seems so laughably small in comparison. Nami's words about not being a real family by blood are rendered meaningless. Their family is more real than most because it was born from a conscious, life-altering choice made at the brink of death.
When Nami hears this, it all clicks for her. You see it on her face. The shame, the regret, the dawning understanding. The fight, the dress, none of it matters. She understands that what they have is so much stronger than blood. She just wants to go home. She bolts out of Genzo's house without a word because there's nothing to say. She just needs to get back to her mom and apologize.
Nojiko finds her, having been out looking for her, and they start heading back together. It seems like Nojiko wants to smooth things over, playing the part of the responsible older sister. You're expecting this emotional reunion. You're waiting for the hug, the apology, the I love you. The narrative is building toward a cathartic resolution.
And the story just denies us that. It builds up all this emotional momentum, this beautiful, heartbreaking story of a mother's love and a daughter's realization, and then it smashes it. It winds up the pitch, makes you think you're getting the perfect feel-good ending to this family drama, and then throws a razor-sharp fastball right at your head. All right, that was a heavy one. Man. If you've got a theory about what happens next or just want to yell about Bell-mère being the best mom in One Piece, drop it in the comments. We read every single one.
So, predictions for Chapter 78. What do you think happens the moment after Arlong makes his declaration?
Okay, prediction 1 for me, we're going to see exactly why Arlong is terrifying, and it's going to be through an act of casual, overwhelming cruelty. He's not going to fight the whole village. That would take too long and be too messy. He's going to pick one person or one house and make an absolute brutal example of them to show everyone else what happens if you defy him. He needs to establish fear immediately, and the most efficient way to do that is with an unforgettable act of violence.
I agree. My first prediction is along those same lines, but more specific. I think Arlong is going to institute a system of control. He'll demand a tax or a tribute. He'll declare that to live on his island, everyone must pay for their lives. He'll demand a certain amount of money from every single adult and every child. It will be an impossible number, a sum designed not just to enrich him, but to bleed them dry and keep them permanently subjugated. It turns life itself into a commodity.
Oh, absolutely. That feels dead on. It's twisted and it plays right into his whole we're superior thing. Your very existence requires payment to me. For my second prediction, I think Bell-mère is going to be the first one to stand up to him. She's a former Marine. She's seen war. She's not going to just bow down and let this monster take over her home and threaten her kids. She's going to confront him, maybe try to lead a resistance, and that's what's going to put the target squarely on her and her family. Arlong will see her as the first nail that needs to be hammered down.
That leads right into my second prediction, which is a refinement of yours. I think the reason Bell-mère gets singled out is not just because she's a former Marine, but specifically because of her poverty. The fight Nami had with her about being poor is about to become tragically, horrifically relevant. When Arlong demands his tribute, Bell-mère will look at her 2 daughters, look at the handful of berries she has, and she won't be able to pay for all 3 of them. She's going to be forced to make an impossible choice, and her defiance will stem from that. The very thing that caused the family's internal conflict is about to become the reason for their external destruction.
Whew. Robin, that's dark. Wow. And it feels exactly like the kind of turn this story would take, tying the emotional conflict of the family directly into the life or death conflict with the villain. That's horrifying and probably right. So the last thing Nami said to her mom about wishing she was in a rich family is going to haunt her forever because their lack of money is what gets Bell-mère killed, or at least targeted. Man, that is rough.
The stakes have been raised. This is no longer just another adventure where Luffy punches a bad guy and everyone is happy. This is a tragedy, and we're about to witness the central act.
Not even close. This is personal. We'll see how it plays out next time. For Inherited Dawn, I'm Franky.
And I'm Robin. Join us next week as we continue our journey.